is it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
We'll call this meeting to order at 6:30. Zach, you listening?
Yes, sir. Let's pray. Dear Lord, just thank you for this day, Lord, the opportunity to be here, and just thank you for each person here tonight, Lord. Just pray blessings upon each person. Lord, we thank you for leadership opportunities and just the opportunity to make decisions for this district. Lord, to move this district in the best direction possible, and just pray your blessings on the decisions made. Pray that you guide us. Pray that you go with us, forgive us where we fail you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Nothing for open forum. Sure. We'll move on to the consent items and start with the minutes.
I'll share with you. I was up on the roof taking pictures. Did you see where Jennifer made you vice president, Ben?
What?
Jennifer made you vice president?
What? This?
Uh-huh.
Sure, whatever. You read through it? I move to approve the minutes as read.
I'll say it.
Have a second, all four? None opposed. All right, we'll move on to the bills.
All right. Couple pages here. See the elementary track meet there? That was an expense that we didn't anticipate going into the year. It's not going to be any issue. It was a little bit. We purchased some ribbons and medals for that elementary track meet. It was a lot of fun. Something we hadn't done in a long time with other schools.
Yeah.
I think the kids really enjoyed it. Chris started the year and asked me if he could do it. I said, yeah, we'll take care of it. And so that was an expense there that we probably didn't plan for to start the year, but something that I think was worth doing. I underlined some coaches because they're all going to, instead of the 6-man clinic this year, they're going to Texas High School Coaches Association Clinic. And you can see those, I think I underlined Carrie twice, but they're going to share a Airbnb kind of about halfway down the page. Coach Potts had already purchased the Airbnb, so we reimbursed him on that to make sure they stay within the clinic budget. But they're not going to the 6-man clinic this year. They're going to Texas High School Coaches Association. So you'll see those entry fees, membership, coaching clinic fees on here a couple times. Something different than what you normally see. Trainings, really, this time of year you'll see trainings. We're still working on the football field, so you see they came and aerated it and kneaded it. It's like concrete, so that hopefully is going to help that grass take off. Your regular Tri-County. Coach Robble went to state softball as her state event, so you see those two expenses there. The second page, you see the underlying coaching clinic stuff. UIL tolls, UIL parking, UIL meals, state track, all that stuff that happened in May on that second page. Third page, kind of excited about Joe is going to a welding certification class where he'll be certified to teach our kids to receive a industry-based certification in welding certificate. So he's doing that this summer. He'll be certified to certify them. So that's definitely a good expense there. I don't know if any of that's takes out, like the tablecloth. We got a new tablecloth for awards during the awards banquet. Something different. Spanish. So Guthrie Spanish has like tripled in the last 2 or 3 years. So we're looking at a new program for next year. That's going to be half the price. And so we'll see how it goes. It's a lady out of the Metroplex area that has retired and is doing it herself. And I don't know how many total schools she has, but hers is $350 a kid per year, where Guthrie is $350 a semester. So it would be half the price. Half the price. So it's just gotten so high. I don't know why they've gone up so much, but it's just kind of really skyrocketed the last couple of years. So we're going to try something a little different next year.
Foreign language still required to have?
Yes. Yeah. The only other option would be to make every kid take computer science as a foreign language, but that's not ideal either. You know? So Spanish is not hard the way we have it set up. Guthrie is not hard to pass.
They don't know any Spanish, they're gonna get done with class anyway.
Yeah, this is a required, a required credit that they have to have. So we're gonna try something different and see how it works out. There at the bottom of the page, we had a shredding service come, and that annex building, old band hall, that room over there was filled with old bank reconciliations and stuff that needed to be shredded so that we can make room for new stuff that has to be there. You got to keep it for so long. So we brought them in one day and shredded a bunch of old records from the 80s and 90s and trying to clean that building up over there a little bit.
How do they charge you? They just come in and give you a quote?
They got these big, like, I don't know, 60-gallon bucket barrels.
Right.
And they'll come in, they'll get in your boxes, and anything that's like a hard binding or like a plastic folder, they take that all out and fill up those buckets. For every bucket they fill up, they charge you like that. Plus the mileage that come out of it. Yeah. So it's by bucket. And then when we got the bill
for me, no doubt.
Yeah, when we got the bill, they put a note in the bill saying that they're fixing to go up on their prices because they're the lowest around here. So,
That Abilene?
The guy, yeah, it's out of Abilene. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. I can share it with you if you need it. I've got it. It's probably in my phone. But anyways, it worked out good. They weren't here very long. It was the day that we were doing our staff lunch, so I didn't get to stay out there with them. I wish I'd have kept them longer because there's still some stuff that they didn't get done. But we put as much of it as we could in the hallway and said, get after it. That's what that was for, and we had never done that. And then that last page, you got Tri-County, Chromebook screens. That's replacement screens for Chromebooks. And postage updates. That's everything on the bills.
Make a motion to approve the bills from last month.
I'll second it.
Have a second, all four? Motion carried. All right, we'll move forward to 2.2, consider and approve MOU with Aspermont Education Foundation.
Okay, I think we talked about this in a meeting, we just didn't ever get it approved. The Education Foundation, to be able to use public building, i.e. this room, for meetings, has to show that the district is going to benefit more than they'll benefit from using. So basically you're letting them use your facilities and your electricity to host a meeting for an hour, one time a month or every other month. And in return, you get these donations and stuff for your teachers and kids.
Or twice a month.
Or twice a month or however often. Yeah. So I don't know what it costs for the electricity for a meeting. You have to benefit more from it than you give. And so you're going to benefit more. You're not letting them use for anything major. But you have to have a MOU signed saying that the district is okay with them using the facilities or public tax dollars, I guess it is, for that purpose.
We don't want a position, but we can.
I'll make a motion to adopt the MOU with Aspermont Independent School Education Foundation.
I'll second it.
I have a second, all four? That motion will carry. All right, we'll move forward to consider and approve Senate Bill 401, homeschool participation in athletics at Aspermont ISD.
Okay, so I put the kind of the notes there in your notes. I put basically a synopsis off the internet, off the TEA website for you to read. But basically what it's going to say is, if you remember a couple years ago, they allowed, where you could allow homeschool students, if your district wanted, you could allow homeschool students to participate in UIL activities at your district. They had to be allowed by the school district. Well, this session, once it's all signed and done, they flipped it to where now they're guaranteed, if they live in your district, they can participate in athletics at your district unless you have a policy that says we do not allow homeschool students to participate in athletics at Aspermont ISD. If they're not allowed in your district, then they're able to go to the next closest district to them. So if I live between here and Guthrie, and I'm in Aspermont district, and Aspermont says no, then I can go to Guthrie if Guthrie allows, or I can go to Jayton or whoever the next closest person is who allows homeschool kids to participate. It's not a huge deal for us. We don't have many homeschool kids. Where I would say I lean more towards not allowing it is because we do get situations where parents don't like a decision that was made, or they don't like a rule, so they're going to pull their kid out and homeschool them. But we would still be required, if we don't pass a policy saying we don't allow it, we would still be required to allow them to participate. Now, they would still be discipline requirements, and you don't have to play them, but you still have to suit them up, buy them a meal if they're on the trip with the team. Our numbers are, you want all the kids that you can get of your community. So that would be my recommendation. I don't think it's going to be a big deal either way. If y'all said, no, we want to keep our options open for homeschool kids, then I'll be fine with that too. I just see more situations where it's I'm mad at the school, I'm gonna pull my kid out and homeschool, as opposed to I've never put my kid in school, now they can play. I'd like for them to play. So up to y'all what you want to do. My recommendation would be that we don't allow it.
I make a motion to adopt a policy not to allow homeschool students to participate in UIL activities.
I second.
Have a second? All for? None opposed? All right, we'll move on to 2.4, consider approve EPFF nepotism and pecuniary interest letter.
Okay, real simple. Every year you approve this with Edgen, our auditor, just basically saying that he doesn't have any benefit from any of the board members being our auditor. We didn't hire him as a benefit. He doesn't have any benefit to it, and none of you benefit from him being our auditor.
I move to approve the letter of nepotism and where the pecuniary interest for the auditor.
Have a second? All for? None opposed? We'll move on. 2.5, consider and approve TASB policy update 125.
Okay, I know y'all read all of that. I highlighted it for you. I think the last time we did a policy update, it worked pretty good. I highlighted it. If you had any questions, ask them. You don't have to listen to me read this for 30 minutes. But this is a summary of them. The only thing that really stood out to me as something you would be interested in hearing is on the last page. So if a kid is not in a situation where they are struggling to get credit because they haven't been to school, right now really the board is responsible for addressing and saying these are the people we want on our attendance committee to give credit if we determine to give credit. We already handle that from an administration standpoint. We don't ask you to put principal set on it, lead teacher set on it. We already do that. This is just saying that no longer are you responsible for determining who's on that. The administration can do that. It's already, we already kind of do that. And then you have the medication stuff here, right there towards the bottom third of the page. And basically, I'm gonna call tomorrow about the Senate bill deal that y'all just adopted. But what we need to put in policy, because we do keep medication, especially for kids who have asthma, like breathing treatments, we keep that and we give breathing treatments. So it says in there that we need to contact our policy consultant if we keep medication for kids. So kind of stands out. The bullying thing at the top is, I mean, there's always a little change in there, but you just got to collect and maintain data for any bullying, which we would already do anyways. Everything else was just movement of policy language and that kind of stuff. Unless you have a question about any of the other stuff in there, that's to me a pretty good synopsis of what I saw in there.
I'll make a motion to approve the update 125 to the ASD district policy manual.
I'll second it.
Have a second on 4? None opposed, that motion will carry. All right, we'll move on to 2.6, consider and approve budget amendment number 1.
Okay, this, I don't have the amendment for you. I don't know if y'all heard Charlie's with family in the hospital. So I just got back from Rio Dosa today. I was gonna have it printed out for you. I don't have it. Basically what we did was move enough money to cover the overage of the stadium system that I told you about last
Right,
meeting.
yeah.
And that'll be that, what function is that? Function 50, function 53, yeah. And that was just in the line of technology equipment, and it was over 8,000 or something. I think we moved 15 into that budget line to cover that. Everything else is still looking pretty good.
I make a motion to approve the budget amendment number 1.
I'll second it.
Have a second on 4? Okay. All right, now we'll move on to administrative reports. Yes,
We started summer school at the beginning of the month, so that's going really well. This is the last week of summer school. We talked a lot about like Eureka math, and then we mentioned how it's going into Bluebonnet math now. Well, we are going to adopt Amplify Bluebonnet, which is the reading curriculum. So we're hoping to see a huge amount of changes in like the reading curriculum and their assessments and things like that. So that's exciting. The teachers will go to training here July 8th. And Region 14 will come down and train them on all the curriculum and come like once to 6 weeks, work with them. Then our junior high cheerleaders went to UCA cheer camp, and so I'm just going to read some of their awards they got. Most Improved Award, junior high division, 2nd place, Game Day Cheer, junior high division, 1st place, Camp Routine, junior high division, 2nd place, Sideline Chant, junior high division, and then Cam, the Mini Hornet. Can't remember what the little hornet is called, but the little hornet, she won the Pin It Forward Award from Tony Tornado from La Mesa and the Superior Spirit Award. So they did really well. Kennedy was super excited and said they had huge change just over going to that cheer camp. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Zach?
Yeah. So you got a budget report there showing the amendment, the one function that we need to make an amendment on. We're running at 86% with 2 months left of our expected expenditures. Revenue still to come, so all that's looking pretty good, pretty close. We should be in a good spot to not be at the 200,000. In your financial report, you got 33,420 in your permanent school fund. It's going up about $1,500 a month, really. So it's not seeing any major increases. But a little bit at a time. If you had something you wanted to do facilities-wise, you got $33,400 to do that if you wanted to. I got a couple of things to discuss, just so you're aware of. So 3.23 says consolidation of campuses to K-12 and use of high school identification code. So most of y'all have been on here and we've talked about this before. Right now we are, from an accountability perspective, we are a high school campus and we are an elementary campus. And when we get our accountability numbers, elementary gets an accountability number, high school gets an accountability number, and then they take those two numbers and they make a district accountability number. We're probably, I don't know of everybody, but I know most of the ones around here, we're probably the only small school that's not a K-12, where you're just one accountability number, one budget, one identification code, and I don't know why that didn't happen. When I took over, we went into school improvement, and if you're in school improvement, you can't consolidate at that time. So we've been, probably 2 years ago, we could have done it, we could have tried, but we were still getting school improvement money, and I wanted to keep getting that money and keep doing the things we were doing and try to improve because of our young teachers. So now we're to a point 2 years later where we're not able to get any more school improvement money. So I want to consolidate our campuses. It helps you in accountability with your numbers, because right now our elementary only gets their star score numbers. Their accountability is basically that, growth and star score numbers. High school gets the benefit of CCMR, which is your college career military readiness, and we're pretty much 100% on that. And they also get the benefit of graduation rate, which is pretty much 100% for us. So those two things pad your accountability. And when you go to looking at small districts, you add in your elementary scores with your high school and then CCMR and graduation rate, then you have one core number that typically is around 2 to 3 points higher than it is if you're, like for us, like we're 88, we might be a 91 if we're one consolidated campus. So there's not really a downside to doing it. For us, the only downside potentially could be if you have numbers that hit you on like testing numbers, say you had more than 10 Asians or something, you know, which we don't have. That could potentially get you, but really most of those schools our size are K-12 campuses. For accountability purposes, they're coded as K-12 campuses. So I sent in an email to request that. We won't know until the middle to the end of July whether they allow it or not. So it doesn't impact you in any way, other than when you see a budget, instead of being 30 pages, it'll be 15 pages because you'll combine them into one budget. You won't have 2 lines for everything. And then when you see accountability numbers, it'll just be one. Like you won't see an elementary, a high school, and then this. You'll just see one Aspermont ISD accountability rating. So other than that, you only get Title I money for the elementary campus. You know, there's not really any other reason you would stay 2 campuses for accountability. So that's something to know and to be aware of. Other things I want to bring your attention, I printed this off for you. I don't know how much y'all heard about this. It's been big topic of conversation on email threads for superintendents and for principals. But it's probably good for y'all to start knowing because it's going to be out pretty quick. And I don't know what it's going to look like. We're still talking about policy stuff for us. The legislator passed Senate Bill 4 or House Bill 1481, which says from the start of school to the end of school, students are not allowed to have technology devices, cell phones, smart watches, iPads, their own personal laptops, any of those things that are not school issued, they're not allowed to have them. And if you read this article, this is back from May 30th, but it basically kind of gives you the layout of the reason they did it. Distracted, and a lot of what I've heard is the research shows that a lot of the bullying incidents that happen at school are pictures on cell phones and then they blast them on social media, and it's between classes or it's at lunch or whatever. So basically we have to get something put together to where the kids get to school, they put their stuff up, and at the end of the day they get it back. And that's Texas law. You know, every school is going to be doing it. So in a sense, we've kind of we've had, you know, when they go in the classroom, they're supposed to put their phones up. The problem you deal with is teachers enforcing it, kids doing it and turning in their phones, and administration being able to oversee all of it, you know, every classroom. Some teachers do, some teachers don't. You know, it just hasn't been enforced real strictly. So we're talking through what we think is going to be best for us to do it. I think for you, just knowing that it's going to happen, like and as a district, we're going to have pretty strong disciplinary stance on what happens if you don't turn your cell phone in and you get caught with it. And we've even gone as far as talk about teachers in the classroom. In that 45 minutes when you're teaching, if it's not an emergency, why do you have yours out? You know, and trying to just take a stronger approach towards it. If the worst thing will be is if the kids know they can't have it, and then teacher says, hey, y'all work on this, and they're over there on their phone for 45 minutes, you know? So a lot to talk about. We'll have something for you, if not next month, in August, when we do all the policies. We'll have a plan for how we're going to do it. People are doing like magnetic pouches, where when you walk in the building, it magnetically, the kid has it on them, but they can't get their phone out. It's locked. I don't know how it works with your Wi-Fi or something. They got individual student lockers where you bring your phone to school and you put it in a little locker and it keeps it there, little charging stations and stuff all day. You could even continue doing the system we have where we have the things on the door where they put it in there. But you have to make sure that your teachers are enforcing it. And I don't know that that's where I want to go. Because then you got to have an administrator seeing it if it's not happening. And if it's not happening, then, you know, there's just a lot to that. I personally would like something where they bring them at the first of the day, we lock it up for them, if they're gonna bring it even, and then at the end of the day, they get it somehow, some system to do that. Thoughts on that? Questions on that? I'm sure there'll be some unhappy parents and unhappy kids that are gonna be struggling. I mean, your administrators need to have their phones. You're moving around, something happens, you need to be available. Teachers don't have to have them during that 45 minutes. If something emergency happens, and once upon a time we didn't have them, you know,
Right.
and parents were still able to come up and get a hold of us and those things. It's going to be interesting to see, but make you aware of that because there'll be questions coming up. I was talking to Malia about it the other day, 2 days ago at vacation. So kids are going to, it'll be interesting to see how everybody kind of approaches that.
Oh, it's gonna be dramatic.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. The only other thing I had on there was absence policy. I want y'all to consider, we took a 187-day contract and put it to 167, basically 165 plus their days. Anyways, they saved about 12 days of the school year, our teachers, our staff, because of the Fridays off. We still using all 10 days, you know, we're still using all 10 days on 167 or 180,
Right,
you know,
right.
and I'd almost be okay with 7 days or, you know, you gotta give your 5 state days and 2 local days or something like that, you know, as opposed to 5 state and 5 local. We give 5 local days, you don't have to give that. Don't get me wrong, we do a good job in the classroom. Our teachers are doing a good job, but I want them here, you know. We implemented some days to where they could do doctor's appointments. The Fridays didn't work for doctor's appointments in the spring, so even on next year's calendar, we alternated some Fridays for Mondays so they could do doctor's appointments. Trying to work with them, but we still have some people that are in 15, 17 days out from school, and that starts costing you.
Why don't we just buy those days back at the end of the year? We did that once.
Yeah, that's an option. You start looking at money and what it would cost. You know, I'd have to figure that up. But I think that's a good option. If you
Just whatever it costs to have a sub.
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't have to be more than that.
Right.
Just something. If it costs us to have a sub.
Majority of the time we don't get subs, you know, so that would be the issue of if what would it cost us if we had, I don't know how many days you would have, you know, 100 days or whatever. What's that gonna cost you? $6 grand, $7 grand, you know? Is that worth it, or, you know, whatever y'all want to do? But I want you to think along those lines of, are we okay with that, or, you know, where we stand? Because some schools that are going to 4-day weeks have reduced their local days. And I'll get some other ideas, but I just want to put it in front of you. Probably would come in August, but we can have that conversation again next month if y'all have questions. And then I had July board meeting will be the 21st. I have here House Bill 2. I don't know how much y'all been hearing about it, the new House bill. There's still a lot of conversation. We don't even have hard numbers yet for it. The original things that came out didn't come out as good as they said it was going to come out. So we adopted a $200,000 deficit. I don't see us getting much more than what it takes to balance that. Maybe. Because what the conversation is going to be in here, and it's been with me. I actually got a phone earlier with the superintendent having this conversation. We got an increase of about $11,000 in basic allotment. And then you have a small school allotment that's going to be an increase. For him, it was $70,000. For us, the other day when I was looking, it was about 100 and something. So that's $120,000. We got a $200,000 deficit. And the raise is only for teachers. So as a board, everybody around here is going, what do we do with our other staff? You know? And if you adopt a 2% increase or a 5% increase or whatever, that's just taking away from what you're taking out of that deficit, you know, trying to balance that deficit. So I'm kind of one of the in the conversation I've had, I've heard people from, like, let's just give our people that raise, that $8,000 and $4,000, and then like our professional staff that doesn't qualify as full-time teachers. And then I've heard people 5%, 2%, 3%. And I'm like, I understand you want to take care of your people, but how can you responsibly say I've got a $200,000 deficit and I'm going to give $150,000 that I could be saving to give everybody a raise when the state did not give that raise? So that's a conversation that's going around, and it's not going to be good either way. Because if you give the raises, then you keep the deficit. If you don't give the raises, then everybody else is giving the raise. Give the 2% raise or whatever. It would have been better if the state would have built it into the teacher scale. If you paid them the teacher scale, that's the way it works. A lot of talk on House Bill 2. It's not completely, nobody's completely sure of even how you have to code the raise, because and if it goes in there a certain way, then you can't reduce their pay even if they don't keep this money up in 2 years when they meet again. Just a lot of conversation. Just be aware. I'm probably going to come with the most conservative approach, not because I don't think all of our people deserve a raise. I want to balance the budget first and then make a decision from there. So when we get to that point, and I'm very confident on what our numbers look like, then we can have a conversation about what we're going to do. Not much money there for us to do much with. Like I said, anywhere from 73 to 83% of schools adopt a deficit budget. So what are those people going to do? Frustrating, but House Bill 2, that's what it is. That's all I have. I should have something. Anything? That's it.
Nothing opposed or anything?
I was going to, yeah, I was just going to talk to you about what we talked about last time. If y'all want to have that conversation, we can have that. Yeah. Personnel? I have it on there. It's on the agenda.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we can.